Yo, hey guys, it's Beast, back with some more beastly content, and this is everything you need to know about Deviated Secure. So let's start with what is Deviated Secure. Deviated Secure is a new early access scenario that takes place in a portion of both the Way of Winter and the Manibus map. The map has been heavily modified to fit the theme of this scenario, meaning the level caps of point of interest are different. A lot of the map has been morphed to fit a deviation theme, and the general rules for this scenario are as follows. No twee pointing in deviations, weapon and armor BPs do not transfer in, and no using mods, period. The general idea is essentially this is what happens if Pokemon was in the apocalypse. So starting with the basics, you're going to want to go ahead and head to your local arena and talk to Lo. From here, he will give you the option between 3 deviations, being Dr. Teddy, Pup Buddy, or the Lethal Rabbit. Instead of telling you the one that you need to pick, I will quickly explain what each of these deviations actually do. So the first is Dr. Teddy. This is a support type deviation. He grants AoE healing for you and your deviations while you are in combat. So the second one is Pup Buddy, who's a tank type deviation who puts the enemies in a floating state, causing paralysis of the enemy deviation for 20 minutes. This means they cannot move or attack for 20 seconds. So pretty decent there. And then of course there's also the Lethal Rabbit, a damage type deviation. Personally, I consider Dr. Teddy as the best deviation to choose just because he is a healing deviation, and I do believe there are healing items you can unlock. However, if you want to heal your deviations, you might just want to start with Dr. Teddy because he just automatically heals you and your deviations. So yeah, probably the best choice there. But let's continue. So once you obtained your first deviation from Lo, you will want to open your inventory and head over to the Symbiosis screen. This is where your Securdex is located. To begin using your deviations, you will want to click on an empty dev slot and choose the dev you want to add, then click F from there. The dev will be loaded into your Securdex. From your Securdex, select one of the 3 team slots at the top left of your screen and then choose the deviation from your Securdex you wish to add to your team. At the bottom of the deviation, you will see a little blue F to deploy button. This will put the deviation in that team slot that you had selected. If there was already a deviation present in said selected slot, you will be replacing that deviation with the deviation you selected, putting the other one back in your Securdex inventory. So on to how combat actually works in this. So combat is actually very simple. You're actually not really supposed to use your guns for anything other than targeting. You can summon each deviation individually by pressing the hotkey being 4, 5, or 6. Pushing it will summon them, and then pushing it again will actually initiate their Psi attack, which consumes Psi energy, which can unleash all kinds of devastating attacks, from the Digby boys just hammering over and over and over, to the Pup Buddy, like I said, paralyzing everybody else, and the Dr. Teddy, who constantly heals and then also has a super heal move that it can also do. As for commanding your devs, it's pretty simple. You can either melee, shoot, or click your middle mouse button while looking at a target to lock onto it and tell your deviations to attack it. The next thing I want to go ahead and cover now is a little bit of a team building 101, just a little bit of a rundown of how to comprise your team. Firstly, let's explain the 3 main types of deviation, 1 being damage type, 2 being tank, and 3 being support. So damage type deviations are usually single attacking deviations that do large numbers of damage. Some of them do AoE damage, which is also good. But regardless, as for support, they always apply aid to your team, whether it's applying a shield, giving you constant healing, increasing your attack damage, increasing power surge damage, and all kinds of other crazy things. For a general starting recommendation, I suggest you get a supporting deviation that's either applying shields or healing you right off the bat. The other 2 slots you could just do damage, though do note at the main story mission of the story, there is a level 20 boss that you probably are going to want to bring some sort of stunning deviation too, as there is a healing Dr. Teddy there that constantly brings the HP bar up to max, making it a very hard challenge. We will see how hard it is once we reach level 20 on 3 deviations ourselves though. For a full list of every deviation available in this early access, I will leave a Google document link down below that has every single deviation listed, separated by their 3 different categories, telling you exactly what their skills do, maybe allowing a little bit more aid in your future team building planning. But regardless from that, let's get on into leveling up your team. So leveling in this is pretty simple. First things first, you can attack deviations and just normal monsters. Defeating them grants deviation XP and player XP, slowly leveling up your deviations. However, there's a much easier option that ties well into the early stage gameplay of this game, being XP aggregators. These XP aggregator items can be unlocked in the Mematics tab and allow you to instantly level up your Pokemon with them. They're essentially craftable rare candies. The materials needed to craft these include E-parts, adhesive, and any plastic, as well as a new item called Combat Memories. For the common XP rare candy, essentially it is the Combat Memory 1. These drop from any enemies or deviations killed, so my best advice is to go ahead and start gathering loot at points of interest, defeating deviations, and so forth. But now that we have gotten into point of interest, we might as well get started on the elephant in the room, being weapons and armor. As I mentioned in the beginning, there are no mods, there are no blueprints transferred over, and there are no weapon prints transferred over. The only way to unlock weapons and armor blueprints is 1, going into your Mematics and unlocking the base gear there. This is actually realm exclusive gear. It's not in other realms. It's realm exclusive gear. The other thing to mention is that in point of interest, actually, if you collect the mystical crates, they can actually drop the blueprints for different weapons and armor, meaning you can get better armor and weapons and stuff in the future. But starting out, you have to start out with just the base set. So my recommendation for getting started is just to get the gear and weapons unlocked and then T-point in just enough materials to get the intermediate gear bench down, make 1 weapon of your choice, and then also make a full set of tier 3 for what is scout armor in the beginning. This will get you set up with just the right amount of gear. Literally the only thing this gear does is provide an HP boost. Because your deviations are here to do all the damage, you're not worried about doing a build or anything at all. You're just trying to get a basic set of gear going on so you can start doing point of interest, looting the point of interest, making sure to collect the mystical crate, and then, you know, having a great time. Another thing to mention is in the beginning, you might also want to T-point in something like gunpowder so that you can make yourself just a little bit of pew-pew ammo. But once again, you're really only going to be using the guns to target the enemies, though they can do some decent damage against normal type of enemies. They're mainly for targeting. You can also melee, and then once again, middle mouse button, and you'll be having a great time. So one last thing I want to cover in regards to weapons and gear. Like I said, you're going to be crafting tier 3 gear, and you may be wondering, how am I supposed to level up to get this gear? It's very simple. If you just go ahead and hit the tab button and open your commissions page, as you complete those commissions, you will realize that there is no weekly limit on how many commissions you can actually do. You can actually complete all of the commissions and pretty much reach level 50 day 1 within an hour just by doing your commissions. Super duper easy. You can, once again, refresh through your commissions, get the easier ones, do them. But regardless, you're going to fly through levels. Level will be no problem. You'll be level 20 in no time. So the next thing I want to actually get on into is actually the capturing of deviations. The capturing of deviations is done by crafting binding grenades. When thrown, these grenades can capture deviations inside their radius depending on their capture percentage. The best method to capture success is first to weaken your enemies, allowing your team to attack, and then holding the binding grenade, allowing you to monitor the capture percentage until the enemy is weak enough for it to be a 100% capture. Once you have a deviation in the binding radius, you will see it float up and start forming rings around it. There are 3 rings. You must have all 3 rings complete to have a successful binding. The next thing I'm going to cover is main story progression and the Securdex. The Securdex is where your combat devs are stored and is also the way you progress through story. To begin progression, you must raise the value of your Securdex to 95. value. You can do this by capturing deviations. Each deviation added to the Securdex adds their value points to the Securdex's total value. Upon reaching 90, you can challenge the first arena challenge, but be warned, it's a full team of level 20s with an AoE healing Dr. Teddy that's going to cause you all kinds of trouble. So, before you actually challenge the arena, you may want to take on the 3 gyms located in the starter area. Now, be warned, these are also very difficult. So, from what I can tell, what you need to do is go out and get yourselves as many different deviations as possible, as all kinds of different support deviations are going to be needed. It does look like stunning is going to be very, very important. You're also going to want to have a deviation that increases your attack eventually so that you can deal higher damage numbers. We're really not getting big numbers yet, and I think a key to that is just a support unit that boosts our attack damage. But with that, I do suppose this has been about the fullness of what Deviated Secure is. And we're just going to go ahead and end this with, once again, one last reminder. There's a Google Doc link down below, has every single deviation currently in the early access of Deviated Secure and all of their skills and what they do, so you can kind of look for certain characters, know what deviations to be hunting for. I might do a video in the future of just the best deviations to get. But for now, this has been everything a beginner would need to know about Deviated Secure. Keep it beast mode.